Good evening, good morning. Welcome back. We are reaching the final stage of the second section of the second chapter. So today we'll try to complete it. If we couldn't complete it, we will finish that thought next week. So just grounding where we are, we talked about the fundamental human problem, which was covered in Shloka 1 to 10. And we were discussing that second topic in detail. So please keep in mind what exactly is the subject matter of that topic and what is the level of that subject matter. If there is a destination Bhagavad Gita is leading towards, this is exactly is that destination. Because Shloka 11, we heard that all the sufferings, all the human sufferings can be removed by knowing who you are, what you are. So it's not that you don't know who you are, what you are, because we are self-conscious and we all are self-aware. But the level of awareness, we don't know the complete dimension of ourselves. We only know a little portion of ourselves and we think that we are very limited and we are very much constrained. Just like in a dream, your self-awareness is pretty much limited to the dream body, dream mind. You never think that I have a dimension beyond that dream body, dream time, and dream space. But the fact of the matter is that you do have an existence beyond the dream body and dream mind and everything. So the sufferings, all the sufferings in the dream, the only solution, and I want to highlight that word, only solution. It's not that there is only one path, which is Hinduism or Krishna's path. No. The only solution for the human suffering is to know who am I, what am I. So that is what exactly is what is the nature of myself is explained from Shloka 11 to 25. So last few weeks, we heard what is the nature of the Ātma, what is the different dimensions of Ātma. We heard Ātma Satyaha, Ātma is the absolute existence. Ātma Nityaha, Ātma is impermanent, eternal. Ātma is Avinashi, is indestructible. Ātma is Avyaya, it is not subjected to change. Ātma is Sarvagataha, is all-pervading. Ātma is Ekaha, only one. So these are the different dimensions of Ātma we have seen. Ātma is Ekaha means the entire universe. On the transcendental side, there is only one Ātma. But immanent side, what exactly in the plurality? There are plurality. There is billions, millions of varieties of expression. But all that is folded back into that one reality, which exists in a different level of awareness, which is the transcendental reality. This is what we have seen. What exactly is going to do this to me at this point of time? I may have the theoretical knowledge. That theoretical knowledge is just like in a dream, somebody tells you that you have an existence beyond dream. That's it. But at least, unless it is experienced by you, unless you experience in your own direct experience, it is not going to help a lot, but still there is value. At least you know that, yes, this is the path. So there could be an existence, I may or may not understanding it, and there is a step-by-step process by which I can move towards that. That is where it goes. Another reason why Krishna spent this much shlokas at the beginning of the Gita, or why Krishna started with the most subtlest, most highest truth is, it is the tradition in Sanatana Dharma. There are two ways of teaching. We already explained that. The first way is to show the highest destination and then take the seeker step by step. The other one is you don't show the highest destination. You just show the immediate next steps, Both has its own advantage and disadvantage. What is the disadvantage of showing the highest destination at the beginning? It can create like, oh, it is not for me. I may not reach that destination. That's the problem. Seeing the height of that mountain, you may stop here. On the other side, what is the disadvantage? You may think the temporary destination as the final destination. And even if you will get lost, there is no way, right? It is pure. If your guru is lucky and if you're committed, you may reach that. So that is why Krishna took that hybrid approach. He's not going to leave you saying that, okay, that is the highest destination, now you go. That's not the approach. He's saying that that is the ultimate destination, but every step you take, it will yield its own benefit. Shloka 41, second chapter, he tells, Solpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little bit of progress you make, it's not that it's binary, right? Either you get it or you lose it. No. Every intermediate step, it is going to add value, just like somebody was asking in the Q&A last time. Like, even if you could not finish that this time, you will resume this journey next time where you left. So that's a promise Krishna is giving. So this is the reason. And we are so after explaining all the nature of the Atma, and also he tried to clarify in the last week, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. If Atma is not moving, it is impermanent, it is beyond death, beyond birth, indestructible. Something is moving, something happens at the time of death. So that part is very well explained by taking a beautiful example. It's like you're changing the cloth. Somebody is moving from one cloth to the other cloth. Just like that, the embodied self, the subtle body, moves from one physical body to the other body. This we talked about. So, but by this time, I hope that all of you are clear with what is subtle body, what is physical body, what is Atma. At the time of death, what is going to happen to the physical body? It's coming to an end. The physical body was born when I was born. The autobiography I write is about my physical body, enlivened by subtle body and Atma, but predominantly pivoted or focused based on the physical body. Then what about subtle body? At the time of death, it will move, transmigrates to another body according to the law of karma. And I promised once we cover up to 25, we will go back to law of karma. We'll take a pause and 2-3 sessions. We will go in detail. What is the law of karma? This is the most frequently asked questions. Then what happened to Atma? Nothing. That is what is explained. So in the next 3 shlokas, Krishna just recap whatever he said about Atma. So let's talk about that. Avanti, you want to add anything?
No, I don't want to add, but again, once more, I want to encourage you all to get the book, please. Please get the book, because I was just looking at Shloka 22. It's so well illustrated with diagrams and with, very nice detailed explanation of what we've covered. And I was just reading some research which showed that the only way to not get Alzheimer's and all these days is to actually read books. So if you don't want to read books, other books in paper, at least try and read this book. It's well worth it. Please read it. I was just going through the shloka again. It's very beautifully described, and the diagrams that Rajesh ji and Vikrant ji have put together are phenomenal. So you must get that.
And that shloka 22, I still remember. We rewrote that 12 times. So you see how many iterations it has gone through. Because this particular shloka 12, has a challenge. Because so far he was talking about the Sachidananda Atma. Suddenly he take a deviation and talk about subtle body and come back. So we wanted to make sure that the commentary flows properly. And it is highlighted in the Gita. People miss it because for one shloka, he changes the meter just to show that it is different from the other lot and then comes back. But people misses that. So that is why we spend a lot of time. So let's listen to that shloka one time and then we will go to the next shloka.
Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhadi naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyadi navani dehi.
Okay, so let's go to the next shloka, 23.
Nainam chindandi shastrani nainam dahati pavakaha na chainam kledayandyapah na shoshayati marutaha.
So let's see the literal meaning and then we will see the deeper meaning. Krishna says, Nainam chintanti shastrani. Na enam. Na enam means this is not cut by weapons. The meaning na enam. Here this means Atma. So Atma cannot be cut by weapons. That is point number one. The second thing is Nainam dahati pavaha. Na enam. This Atma cannot be burned by fire. The third one is Nainam chindanti shastrani, Nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayanti apaha. Apaha means water. Water cannot wet it. Fire cannot burn it. Weapons cannot cut it. And nashoshiyati marudaha. Wind cannot dry it. So what exactly it means? Atma is indestructible, nature of the Atma. Now go back to the shloka. The shloka talks about the usual means of destructions. How a thing got destroyed. Like if there is a physical weapon, you can cut it. So that means that is one way of destruction. Translate that to the modern times. Could be a bomb, or it could be a missile, or it could be whatever it is. So whatever is the weapon, it can hurt the body. It can destroy the physical body, but it cannot touch Atma. That's number one. Right? That's number one. Number two, Nainam dahati pavahaga. The fire cannot burn it. Usually fire can burn everything. The fire can burn the physical body, but the fire cannot burn the Atma. Then, so we talked about the earth and then fire. Then Nainam, like Nainam chindanti shastrani, Nainam dahati pavakha, nachainam kledayantyapah. Water cannot wet it. Like water will wet and eventually it can destroy. So water cannot touch it. Then nashoshiyati marudaha. Wind can dry, dehydrate it and just destroy it, or even destroy it completely. That means of destruction is also not possible for Atma. All that is applicable to the physical body and everything else, but not to the Atma. This is the whole idea. This is just a recap of what we said. Najayate, mriyate, kadajit, nayam bhuktva bhavita vana bhuyaha, ajaha, nityaha, shashwataha, na hanyate hanyamani sharire. So that is exactly what is concluded. One more point to highlight here is that how this truth, how something Atma is beyond destruction by the usual means of destruction, it can be explained by many means. Here the model Krishna has taken is the Pancha Bhūta model. Right? So Pancha Bhūta model is a model used in the ancient world to model the entire universe. So according to the Pancha Bhūta model, the entire universe consists of 5 different states of matter. Now we know that we have 100 plus elements, etc. But in the ancient worldview, there was only 5 models, 5 element models. See, that is not what is important. The importance here is that a model is an abstract representation of the reality, right? I can choose to represent very detailed, and I can use to represent to keep it high level. So this is a very high level model that represents the entire physical world of matter. The entire material world, you can say that it is made up of 5 different states of matter. Instead of saying that there are 102 elements or 103 elements, we can say that 5 different states of matter. If you observe, there is solid, there is liquid, there is gaseous state, there is plasma state, and then there is a lack of anything else. Perfectly fits. So neither of these things, like of course space cannot destroy anything, but the other 4 states of matter that is available, what is that? The first one is the earth component, which is the solid component. The weapons can be made, the bombs can be made, the grenades can be made, the guns can be made, bullets can be made. It cannot touch Atma. Now, nainam dahati pavaha, the fire cannot burn it. Then the water cannot wet it or drown it. And then the fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, and wind cannot dry it. So that exactly, right, the Pancha Bhūta theory. Shastrani represents the earth element or the solid element. Then Apagaha, water represents the water element. Pavakaha represents the fire element, loosely translated as plasma, like that's a state of matter scientists talks about, right? Where the particles are even farther apart compared to a conventional gaseous state. And then the air represents the gaseous state. So none of these material is capable of destroying Atma, and all of them are capable of destroying Sthula Sharira. So that is another point we want. Krishna is not talking about that, but we wanted to say that. So whenever you see some change, it's not just the death alone. It is caused by these Pancha Bhūtas, the material variations and time. And none of them is applicable to Atma. This is such a beautiful, brilliant shloka. So Avanti, you want to add?
Namaskar. Again, I really am not trying to sell this book, I promise. But if you all are doing these classes and you want this to go in deeply, you must get the book. What we just said in 5 minutes over here is so beautifully explained. So I have to go back to the book. If you had it, it would be easy for you to follow. But I'll just read that at a glance first. The Atma is indestructible and cannot be affected by ordinary means of destruction that impact the body or other physical objects. That's the at a glance. Now, to understand Atma, like we keep saying over and over again, it's impossible to understand. Even those who have self-realized, when they try to explain it to others, that's why that shloka comes, right? Those who know it's a wonder, those who hear it's a wonder, those who realize it's a wonder, everybody knows it's a wonder, but nobody knows what it is. So even people who have self-realized, they're trying to talk to us what Atma is, it is impossible to understand or even impossible to articulate. That is why what you will see beautifully in the Gita, right from the beginning to the end, is that there is a slow progression from everything that we know. Things that we know are constantly employed in the Gita to make us try and understand, not understand, but try and understand what we do not know. So that's why, like we have explained in the book, he spun it off the Pancha Bhūta model. Please write in your notes, it is this particular verse and the next one is spun off the Pancha Bhūta model, okay, which is the 5 elements. Now, simple things, I'll just give you all some tips to get through to this is, first of all, in the order of the universe, the gross cannot destroy the subtle. It's impossible. Okay, it's only the subtle that is more powerful than the gross. Even when Krishna explains in chapter 3, the power of different components of us, very categorically he says that the senses are powerful, but even more powerful than the senses is the mind. Even more powerful than the mind is the intellect. Even more powerful than the intellect is Atma. Stay there. Stay there, as in constantly keep reminding yourself You are Atma. And a verse like this, as bizarre as it sounds, because every day we are being destroyed on multiple levels, as bizarre as it's saying that no, you're never destroyed, these verses, when you really go deep into them, they will pull you out of the worst kind of entanglements, whether they're physical ailments, whether they're mental disturbances, whether they're intellectual stress, whatever it is, it will pull you out. I'll give you two startling examples that you cannot deny. Walt Disney was imprisoned. And on the walls of that prison, he started doodling Mickey Mouse. And what's happened with Mickey Mouse today, if you look at it? From a prison wall. So we put that quote over here also in the book on the first page. Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. So whatever is holding us in this world, whatever is frustrating us in this world is only happening to the passable transient components of ourselves, not the Atma. The more and more you surrender to that knowledge that, yes, I am Atma, the less and less you will be overwhelmed. Does it mean that you will be without emotions? Absolutely not. When Rama lost Sita, he started crying and asking, I'm sure you're doing it in Ramayana. He started asking the trees and the birds, have you seen my Sita and all? When Lakshmana fell down, Rama cried and wept, and he made Hanumanji so special because Hanumanji could bring Rama back to Lakshmana back to life. So emotions are okay. Like my teacher says, it's okay to have emotions, but do not become emotional. It's okay to have sentiments, but do not become sentimental. When you say mental, that's what we are becoming with everything that's happening in our life. So very clear distinction. Another example, which is the closest to my heart when I listen to this verse, when I look at my own life story, when I think about the teachings of the Gita, is Nelson Mandela. 27 years he was in prison with the worst kind of afflictions that you could ever imagine. There was one episode of some guard urinating in his food and making him eat it. And there was just more horrible things that kept happening. And yet there's this wonderful movie and in that on Nelson Mandela. And in that movie, there's a poem which I would like to read to you because this is very important. If you understand this, you'll understand what the verse says. There's this wonderful poem in that movie, which is the sentiment that Nelson Mandela had through those 27 years of obnoxious imprisonment. Okay? The poem goes, he's saying it, he's in that state and he's saying these words. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears, looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged the punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Such a sentiment in that harrowing prison is impossible if he is not in connection with the word here used, soul. We've explained soul. Rajesh has spent a lot of time explaining it's not the soul we kind of think of, they kind of think of, but soul when we talk about is Atma. If you are not stationed in the Atma, there is no way you can go through these experiences. Now compare his 27 years of horrifying experiences in the prison to, I'm not dismissing our problems, but to the problems that we have and how we let them overwhelm us. So understanding that no matter what happens to the body, whether it is body, mind, and intellect, let's take all three of them, whatever happens to it, whether it is cut, whether it is burnt, whether it is wetted, whether it is dried, Atma remains unaffected. And this is not armchair philosophy. I promise you, the more and more you keep on reading these verses, it's so fascinating that whenever I've gone to funerals, I've heard them chanting these 2-3 verses with some other verses, especially these two verses, 23 and 24. Just for your information, 23 and 24 are a repetition of each other. 23 is said in the active voice, 24 is said in the passive voice. It's the same words, the first half. And then he again brings in some qualities of the Atma for us to meditate upon. So when it's fascinating that we would chant this to a mind, intellect that has already left the body. Think, if we can chant this to our mind and intellect while we are in this body, while we are doing this life the way we have to do it, then what Rajesh said many classes ago, that we can skew the destiny where we are going. When we keep asking, are we fated? Are we fated? It is only when we start employing these remembrances in our day-to-day life, and we keep remembering we are Atma, the body, the mind, the intellect just has to do what it has to do. Anarshita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha. Chapter 6 begins with that. That's all that we are meant to do, without getting carried away in emotions. So very important to understand these two verses. And also one more thing I'd like to say is that, because that question came in the last class and Rajesh brought it up again, that what happens if we don't realize that we are Atma in this thing? There's a very rare chance that we might. I'm not saying this. Krishna has said it in the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads say it all the time. It's rare. It's 1 in a million that actually realize the self. But please understand, every seed that you sow within your mind about this, around this knowledge, is like a stalactite formation. If you know how stalactites are formed, one drop over yugas, over millennia. If you go to Tasmania and all that to see the stalactites, you'll be amazed that it all started with one drop. And if you see that site, you just, literally you can go giddy. It's that beautiful. So spiritual progress is also one drop at a time, one drop at a time, one drop at a time. There's another famous saying that says the last straw broke the camel's back. So when we are at spirituality, when we are, like walking this path, we keep thinking, I'm doing so much, I'm studying so much, I'm trying, but nothing is working. And suddenly years later, you don't do anything and it works, because all of this has built up. So very important to understand these two verses, as simple as they are. Please don't slight it off. Read the commentary, because in that we've explained how the body gets wet, we've explained the process of dehydration. That is why the body can be dehydrated. And one more thing is that amongst the elements, the subtlest space also cannot be affected by the four. And Atma is subtler than space. So Atma absolutely cannot be affected, cannot be touched. So just something to keep on and on reminding yourself. In fact, if you can, 23 and 24, learn it up by heart, chant it in front of your altar. And when you are in trouble, when you start chanting this, you will see how the problem starts settling down. It doesn't disappear. Nobody's problem disappears. It settles down enough for you to remember that you have the power, like Walt Disney or Nelson Mandela, to tap into that Atmic power and get through whatever it is that you have to get through in front of you. So I think this is done. But 24, we can, Rajesh, should I just complete the reflective prompt and the quote? So we can jump into...
Please do.
Just read the reflective prompt. In moments of fear or doubt, can you pause and reflect on the timeless, untouchable essence within you? How might this change the way you face challenges? Exactly what I said. And then the quote is, unscathed by weapons, as in not even scratched, not even touched by weapons, untouched by fire, unwet by water, unshaken by storm. That is the Atma. So nothing can. And just one thought. Okay, I mean, I keep bringing it down because householders, it's very difficult to sit in that Atmic thing. Just remember, even if you don't want to think of Atma, we've spoken in 22. We've described that beyond this particular body, beyond this particular life circumstance, something is still going on. So even if you're not able to on any level, and I hear students say this all the time, we cannot imagine we are God and we are Atma and whatever else, at least remember something is going on, going further into the future lives. Work on that through this knowledge. Atma will reveal itself.
Excellent. Let's continue the next two shlokas together.
अच्छेद्योऽयमदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतस्थाणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः अव्यक्तोऽयमचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयमुच्यते तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं नानुशोचितुमर्हसि.
Okay, so it's a conclusion. Whatever he have been talking so far, he just concluded with the 24 and 25. Let's try to see the meaning. Exactly the same thing he said in the previous shloka, but in a different angle. So earlier he said, Nainam chindanti shastrani, it cannot be cut by weapon, it cannot be dried by wind, it cannot be burnt by fire, it cannot be wetted by or drowned by water. And now he just says the same thing. Achedya. This Atma is achedya. It cannot be cut. Think the previous shloka. Nainam chindanti shastrani. It's exactly what is rephrased. This is the style of Bhagavad Gita. You see that repetition because that repetition is needed to drive that idea in our mind. So achedyo adahyoyam. You cannot burn it. Nainam dahati pavakaha. It's exactly what it is. Achedyoham adahyoyam. Akledyaha. Nainam dahati nachainam kledayantyapaha. That is rephrased here as akledyaha, achedyaha, adahyaha, akledyam evacha. Then he said what? Ashoshyaha. Previously we heard nainam nashoshayati marudaha. That is exactly what he said here. Then he said, what is the nature of Atma? What does that implies? Nainam chintanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachainam kledayantyapaha, nashoshayati marudaha. That means it is achedyaha, adahyaha, akledyaha, ashoshyaha. What does that mean? Nityaha. It's permanent, eternal. Sarvagataha, all pervading. Sthanu, stable. Achaloyam, not moving. Sanatanaha. Sanatanaha means it's most ancient but ever fresh and active. This is the, we already this is explained, like Atma, Satyaha, Atma, Nityaha, Atma, Evaha, Atma, Sarvagataha. All this is explained. So this is just a recap. So Nityaha means it is eternal. Then Sarvagataha means all pervading. Remember, Avinashitu Tatvityam Yena Sarvamidam Tadam. See, if something is all pervading, how can you cut it? See, the air is filled in this whole room. How can I cut the air into two? Is it possible? Forget Atma. Even some of the subtler element, you cannot do it. Correct? So when something is all pervading, it perverts even the space. You cannot cut it. You cannot burn it. You cannot dry it because it's the fundamental reality. So that is Nityaha, Sarvagataha, Sthanu. It cannot move. What is the simple physics of movement? You all studied Newton's laws of motion. If an object A is there at a point A in time t, t1, like in time t2, if that object is, instead of xyz, it will be x1, y1, z1. That is the moment. That is called displacement or the moment, if you go to simple physics. But imagine something is all pervading. Where can it move? where the space will move. Suppose you have like a small pot fully filled with something like a clay. Suppose you want to move that clay within that pot. Is that possible? Displacement is possible when I am not all pervading. Correct? Because let's say that I'm sitting in North Brunswick right now. I can go to Edison. Why? Because I'm not there. And there is a space between me and Edison. So if there is nothing else other than me everywhere, how is it possible? How is it possible to move? Just think of it. The movement is possible only when there are separatedness or there is a space. And we are talking about Atma, which is even subtler than space. So movement is not possible. And then the question is, why the two words? He's using two words. One is sthanu, stable, and achalam. Shankara comments. So you can say like a banyan tree. It's very stable, but the branches can shiver or shake. For Atma, that is also not possible. To shake also, you need to have some space where it is not there. And there is nothing in the universe where there is not Atma. It's all pervading. So if you understand the larger meaning of that all pervading, the movement is not possible. So that is why Nityaha, Sarvagataha, Sthanu, Achaloya, Sanatanaha. Sanatanaha means what? It's not just beyond space. It is beyond time also. Every object, T1, it was not there. T2, it is there. T3, it won't be there. Everything in this universe, including the sun and the moon and the stars. There was a time when it was not there, and there will be a time. It will be after billions of years, but you know that it will come to an end. So this Atma is always there. And the word Sanatana is so beautiful. That is the name of our culture. Hinduism, popularly known as Hinduism, is called Sanatana Dharma. Why? Because it's ancient. It's not just ancient, but it's ever fresh. It's ever new. It is still relevant. If something is like old and it is like in the museum, that is not Sanatana. Sanatana means it is ancient, but it is still fresh and relevant. That is Sanatana. By the way, the name Hinduism was given by somebody else. So you know the history, right? So the river Indus was there, and there was a very cultured society was living there. And the Persians and the Greeks who came to India, they tried to call them the people on the other side of the river Sindhu. And obviously in Persian language, there is no sa, it is ha, and that is how we got Hinduism. So the real name, the beautiful name is Sanatana. That's all I was going to tell you. Okay, let's continue to the next shloka, and then we'll hand over to Avanti. So then he concludes that avyaktaha, this Atma is avyaktaha. So we talked about all these things, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not understanding it. So the word avyaktaha means it's unmanifest, or it is not visible to me through the normal means of knowledge. Usually, how do I understand something? Or how do I see something? It is through my sense organs, or it is through some inference. I don't need to physically see everything for me to understand something. For example, like the classic example in the Indian Nyaya system is, there is a fire, there is a smoke, so you can infer that there is a fire. That is inference. Pratyaksha, Anumana. Then obviously, if you strictly go by the Vedantic thing, there are 6 pramanas. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Arthapatti, Anupalatti. All these are different types of inferences. So fold that in under inference. So direct means of perception through the sense organs or through inference. None of them will work for Atma. Atma has to be known through Agama or Veda or the Shabda Pramana. Only through the scripture the Atma can be. So that's why it's unmanifest. So you may see the plurality, but you don't see the underlying reality behind all these plurality. That is why it is avyakta. Achindyaha. You cannot think about this because the thoughts are possible only which you have direct experience. So it is difficult to think about Atma. So that is why avyaktaha, achintyaha, avikaryaha. It is unchanging. Everything else in the world is subjected to change. We talked about this many times. That's why I'm running quickly. Asti, jayate, varthade, viparinamade, apakshiyate, pranashyati. That change cycle is applicable to everything else. So this Atma is unchangeable. So therefore, he concludes the whole topic. Tasmadevam. So vidittoinam. Vidhi again, with means know. So by knowing this, you should not go to a perpetual grieving, perpetual suffering. Of course, you will be sad when somebody departs, because at this point of time, in this place, in this time, I cannot interact with him. That's a big loss. We talked about that last week. We are mourning not for that person. We are mourning for my missing interactions with him, or his presence or her presence is missing for me. Nothing is going to happen to him. So that's why you should not go to perpetual suffering. Yes, it's okay to miss him. It is okay to remember him. And that is why in our culture there is this shraddhas and pindas and all those shodasha samskaras are there. So you are supposed to remember him. You are supposed to conclude, meaning continue to inspire the values they has given to us, right? So, and also we should live a life which makes us inspirational for other people. Shankara in one of his commentary tells, there are two kind of people. One people, they inspire even after they go. And the second people, they will also be remembered, not as an inspiration, but as a warning. In every family, you will find one or two people. They always say, don't be like him. We don't want to be like that. So you need to continue to inspire people. You need to live a life that inspires the next generation. Vivekananda, like, he's gone after how many years? Like, still we all feel inspired by him. Like, what exactly is the material success he had? Nothing much, but still we remember him. So that's what it is. So you have to do that. But last week we spent a lot of time. What exactly, why we are feeling sad? We miss that person. We miss interacting with him. We miss talking with him. We miss his presence or her presence. Beyond that, there is nothing to worry, because nothing happened to him. And at least that assurance is coming from Bhagavan. And we should take that, and life has to move on. Death is definitely, it's a problem, but that is why there is a, meaning different parts of India has different rituals, but usually like after a certain period of time, you stop worrying and the life has to move on. That's it. This is the essence of this shloka. So with this, the Atma, the topic of Atma is concluded. I'll show you a couple of diagrams. Then I'll hand over to Avanti. Sorry, I don't have diagrams. Sorry about that. But a couple of tables I have shared in the notes. You can review what is each topic has explained in detail. Okay, so let me hand over to Avanti.
So when we read these shlokas, I don't know what happens to you all, but do you feel fascinated by how many things we are made up of? We are definitely made up of the gross body. We are made up of, we have the mind, we have the intellect, we have the Ātma that they're keeping on saying that we are, and it's within us, and we are that. Even when we look at the Pancha Koshas, we have the Annamaya Kosha. Mostly we are just dealing with that only. We're not even dealing with the Pranamaya Kosha. That's why we have pranayamas and all that to make us, in tune with our breath and everything else that goes on, the functions that we cannot see or we don't have direct control over. Beyond that is the Manomaya Kosha. Beyond that is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Beyond that, there are those vasanas that sleep that we don't even know which vasana is going to come up when and project us into what action. And right within is that Atma, covered by all these layers. So really what Gita should make you do, I'll tell you a quick story. So there was this person who was in search of enlightenment. Okay, he was in search of enlightenment, and he went from pillar to post, trying to hear what cannot be said, to understand what cannot be defined. And finally, somebody told him that, you go to this monastery and all that, this man will give you the Brahma Jnana in 1 minute, just go over there. And it was a long journey. He had to go by hills, he had to go by water, he had to go by all these things. He landed up there. And there he saw a very, very ordinary person gardening. Outside his cottage, there was a garden. And he was just gardening. Ordinary person, nothing to him. Okay. And he went, like after such a great effort, he went to him and all that. And he said, can you please give me Brahma Gyan? And this man didn't speak at all. Okay. And he just continued gardening. And this fellow is getting frustrated. He's saying, I've come all the way. He's so highly recommended. Why is he not giving me Brahma Gyan? What is this? What nonsense is this? And he's just sitting, but he wanted it. So that mumukshutva was still there. Though he was getting irritated, though he was getting agitated, he still wanted it badly. So he sat in the corner and he watched, trying to battle his frustration, trying to want to know even more. He sat. He sat for 1 day, he sat for 2 days, he sat for many days. Finally, he couldn't hold it. Whole day, this man used to come, garden and go back in. Finally, he couldn't hold it in. And he went and asked me, he said, look, you need to tell me, what is it? I've been sitting for so long. So he's saying, exactly what I'm doing. So he said, what are you doing? He's saying, have you just watched that I'm doing something? Haven't you watched what I'm doing? I'm removing one plant from here and I'm putting it here. And I'm removing one plant from here and I'm putting it here. And that's all that there is to Brahma Jnana. Right now, all your nurturing, all your attention, all your awareness is fixed on one plant, which is the body, at the most your emotions, little bit maybe the thoughts. Take that plant, uproot it from here and shift it to Atma. If you listen to the Bhagavad Gita, it is only Tat Tvam Asi or Tvam Tat Asi. First 6 chapters, second 6 chapter, last 6 chapters. That is all that there is to it. And yet we have to spend 18 chapters to understand that we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect. So these verses, all we have to do is start shifting our focus from what we know already. We already know we are transient. We already know that we are, perishable. We already know we can be burnt and wet and dried and whatever else. But we also now have been told by the Shastras, by Krishna, by the Bhagavad Gita, that in a sense, we are none of that. And we are the Atma within. So uprooting that plant of our awareness that is fully stationed in our world circumstance, which is only going to at max be 150 years or 200 years or however long you're planning to live. It changes. So the more and more we start shifting that attention, Atma within, Atma within, Atma within, Atma within, I am Atma Brahma, I am Atma Brahma, I am Atma Brahma, you will start seeing the changes within you. There is no way to practice becoming God. You just become God. The human just becomes God. There are those 4 beautiful stages that are explained in, Vedanta. It starts with, you come to this subject. So it starts with first stage, Salokyam. Before you don't know anything. You are in your own world. You're in your own loka, doing this, doing that. So first thing, you come in contact with this knowledge. Salokyam. You step into the loka of spirituality, into the loka of Shastras, into the loka of gods and goddesses and all these beautiful things. We've just, happy Diwali, by the way. We've just celebrated such a wonderful festival. I'm sure you're still celebrating at your side, but ours is pretty much drawing to an end. But we come into this world, into this loka. So first is Salokyam. You come into, you step in. The minute you step in, and we've heard this as verdict from all of you, most of you on this panel. I wish more and more people put on their videos, but anyways, I'm tired of saying that. But we've heard from you how much difference it's made just listening to this, just coming for this weekly class. So you will see those God kind of ease within you, just salokyam. Next is samipyam. You come even closer when you start understanding. When you buy, not the Kindle version, I am going to enforce this as much as I can, the physical version of this book. And you read it after each class, you read the painstaking effort that we have put into this, not for us, but for your own sake, because our thing is that you get it as much as, or however we get it. You all will get it even more than we've got it, I'm sure, because always the listeners get it more than the people who are blabbering away. So next is samipyam. Samipyam means coming closer. First, stepping into the loka. Next is samipyam. You're coming closer and closer to the subject because you're keeping on reading. You're keeping on contemplating. You're putting it against your life. You're reading this here. You're hearing this on a Tuesday night. Thursday, something happens. You immediately understand the correlation. So samipyam, more and more godhood, more and more qualities will come. Next is sarupyam. When you sit with it, when you really sit with it, you start seeing the truth, physically seeing the truth of what you are studying. And like we said, pratyaksha is the final word for human beings, right? Because we start with that agama that teachers have told, all that will continue to be knowledge. But when you pratyaksha experience it, you pratyaksha sarupyam. Nobody can take that away from you. And the final stage, fourth stage, sayujyam. Yuj, we've studied Bhagavad Gita. The entire thing is yoga, which is root cause, yuj. We have studied that already, which means union. Final stage is union, sayujyam. You become more and more that. You get into that whole, feeling of what it is to be divine in this human body, what we talk about Jivan Mukti and all that. So you have to start with that. It can't stop with salokyam. Once a week, salokyam is happening. The rest of the week, lokam is happening. Again, once a week, salokyam is happening. Rest of the week, lokam is happening. Take it. It is in your hand to go from salokyam to sayujyam. Once sayujyam happens, like Rajesh was saying, this cannot be articulated. Some German, I forget which one, there's so many philosophers who've spoken so many things. Some German philosopher said these are blabberings of the infant or something, right? He said Vedanta are the blabberings of the infant. Of course, there'll be blabberings to people who don't understand, because it is impossible to articulate. When after each chapter, we are saying Bhagavad Gita, Upanishatsu, Brahma Shastra, we're saying all those things because Upanishads cannot be understood by us who are right there in the world trying to work our life. We have to have it in the distilled version. Once we get it in the distilled version, we start understanding it, we start implementing it, then you travel this journey. And once you are at the destination, which is a process of many lifetimes, but every lifetime will get you closer and closer and closer. Think at what age, always every day ask yourself this question. At what age and under what circumstances did I come to the subject? That question itself will tell you reincarnation is real. That answer itself will tell you reincarnation is real. Maybe nobody in your family is in this line. Where are you all sitting in the US? In India, people are not understanding what is Bhagavad Gita. Sitting in the US, you'll have come so passionately to this subject. Think, you cannot doubt anything when you start thinking in these lines. So basically, these wonderful verses, right from when Krishna starts speaking in verse 11 to now, has given us the highest truth that we are. Tat tvamasi tvam tat asi. The rest is something that now from chapter 3 onwards, we will start learning how to navigate. Because until we navigate this, that's why I keep on repeating over and over again in all my classes. Yes, enjoy the Upanishads, enjoy the, the high lofty ideals that they speak. But please master the Gita. Because if you don't master the Gita, you are not going to master your life, your mortal life. If you cannot master your mortal life, all the rest will only be philosophy in the head. And that is our effort in trying to help not only you, all of us included, to master life. How each shloka can be punched into daily life over and over again. And when Rajesh was saying that, be an inspiration, make sure when you go, आते हुए, what रोते हैं सब, रोते हुए आते हैं सब, हंसता हुआ जो जाएगा, वो मुकद्दर का सिकंदर, जाने मन कहलाएगा. What does it mean? We all come crying into this world. But if we can leave this world laughing, not bludgeoned by these circumstances, then we have lived this life well. Otherwise, it is vinashyati, mahabinashyati, waste of human life. And a very lovely quote that Swami Chinmayananda used to keep saying, he used to say, some people give happiness wherever they go. Other people give happiness when they go. So we don't want to be giving people happiness when we go. We want to give everybody happiness, and happiness does not mean material happiness. It means these gems. Swadhyaya is the highest yajna. We will learn in chapter 4. Self-realization, mastering these teachings, not to teach others, but to teach ourselves, to understand, to transcend. So with that, if we approach the Gita, and the first step, final time I'm saying before I close, I really expect all of you all to have this physical book with you all. I promise you it will really, really change the way you're understanding these classes, because it's not enough to just listen and look at the slides. We have very little memory now with multitasking. If you get the physical book, keep it next to your bed, open any page in the morning, and it is so well explained. There's no explanation needed. Frankly, you all can start doing these classes, taking classes in your neighborhood. It's so well explained. So bring this book. After each verse, the physical book, go through what we have said. And I will, remember I said, Krishna says, I will give you jnana and vijnana. I will give you knowledge and wisdom. That wisdom will happen when you do this process. There's only that. There's no other shortcuts. Anybody who says, I will put my hand on your third eye and open it and all that is run the other direction. Only you can open your third eye by sitting and reading and putting it against your life. So please do that and have a wonderful Diwali. Light the lamp of knowledge within your head and have a wonderful Diwali, and let that be one of your major sankalpas, that I really want to understand the Bhagavad Gita, live the Bhagavad Gita. I really want to understand and live the Ramayana. I really want to understand and live the Saundarya Lahari. Whatever we are putting, even the meditation capsules, I want to experience it, not just scroll. I want to experience it. That is what is important.
Yeah. I know that we took 15 minutes extra, but we wanted to cover that topic. So maybe we are dedicating the next session for the Q&As. So come with all the questions. We will dedicate one session for Q&A and we'll try our best to answer all the questions. And if you want, we can do 3 sessions on law of karma. After that, taking a break, and then we will come back to Bhagavad Gita. Is that good? Law of karma? Okay. Thumbs up, everyone. That's good. That's good. And the different stages of mukti, Avanti said, we are going to study that in Ramayana. This is the best book that explains that Salokya, Sarupya, that is Yoga Vasishta, which is written by none other than Valmiki. So we are going to cover that as part of Ramayana. That's a brilliant point she mentioned. Okay, so with that we can close today. Next week we will dedicate for Q&A. So please consolidate all the questions, post it if possible. Otherwise, you can do live. No guarantee that we can answer, but we'll try our best. Okay.